relying solely on medications to take care of your autoimmune or other chronic health issue? Are you looking for a more holistic approach? Then you have come to the right place, because today I'm going to be talking about 5 important ways that you can unlock your body's healing potential. My name is Anindita. I'm a functional medicine certified health coach and an AFMC practitioner, and I help support women with autoimmune conditions to reverse their symptoms using functional medicine approach by allowing their bodies to guide them. Right, so today is a very important topic that I sort of keep talking about, simply because I think it is an important part of your healing journey. It has to be incorporated in a manner that makes it easy for you to understand what your body is trying to achieve, what it is going through, how you can support it, and how you can help your body heal. Right, so it's about healing, and the reason I talk about healing a lot and I talk about a healing journey is that it allows you to understand that this is a journey. It's a process that you go through. The destination is, of course, we are clear on that. We may want certain symptoms to go away, to get our lives back on track. There's so many things that we want to move towards, to be pain free of pain, and that is an important part of it. But also knowing and allowing to be guided by what your body knows already, and just allow. If you just do that one thing, then you can actually help to allow yourself to be guided by your own body, and just use your symptoms as a gift. Right, so if you're watching this on replay, make sure that you drop in your comments below if you have any questions. So let's get started right away. So 5 important ways that you can unlock your body's healing potential. And I need to start with food, simply because that's something that is one of the most important aspects of any health creation journey. Right, it has to start with food. You are consuming food at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week, right? And if there are snacks involved, there's so many aspects of food that we underestimate. Right, I think now the good thing is that there is an increase in knowledge and awareness about using food as medicine. And of course, we have a traditional healthcare system that has allowed us to, that allows us to actually embrace that more fully than many other countries. But yet I find that there is this lack of awareness as to how foods are actually impacting us on a day-to-day basis, right? Which is why when I work with women with autoimmune and other conditions, I have to start with food. And it starts by eliminating the triggers, right? Removing the triggers. And we know what some of the known triggers are. So if we talk about specifically autoimmune conditions, we know that gluten is a problem. I'm not going to be getting into each and every specific today, because that's not what today is about. But if you head to my blog at aninditarungta.com/blog, there are a lot of posts about it. But as far as autoimmune conditions are concerned, gluten is a big problem. Dairy is another big issue. And then there are other foods like corn, soy, eggs, and of course then it can be nuts for somebody. Ultimately, the triggers will be different for each person. So we need to first identify and then eliminate, but some of them are actually common. So trigger foods like gluten and dairy are common across, and in fact gluten is the number one food that I sort of focus on when somebody starts working with me, because that actually contributes to one of the processes that leads to autoimmunity, that's enhanced intestinal permeability. So eliminating trigger foods has to be your number one priority, because as I tell my clients, I give them this example that it's as if there is a fire somewhere. There's a fire which has spread in the house, and it is because to a leaking gas pipe in part of your kitchen, and you are trying your best to extinguish the fire, right? So you are throwing, you're getting a fire extinguishers, the best fire extinguishers, which can be in the form of supplements where health is concerned. It can be other things, lifestyle changes, medications, of course. But if you do not go and switch off that gas supply, you are actually not able to address the root of the problem, right? So this is where food comes in. So if you are continuing to have foods which are contributing to the problem, you're not going to get, you might see some improvements, but you're not going to be able to sustain those improvements that you see, or you may not even see much real and sustained improvements, because that's what we are talking about, right? Again, if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. If you're watching it on replay, thank you for joining. These are important topics, that I'm picking up and talking every single Friday. Okay, so let's get going. The first was remove these triggers, right? The second, it's not enough to just remove the foods, right? So of course that's a big first step. So you need to, of course, stop fanning the flames, if I may say so, because that's inflammation. You actually need to incorporate anti-inflammatory foods. What is inflammation? Inflammation is a process. These are your immune system. When it is activated, it throws out certain chemicals which are which cause certain reactions, and that actually helps the repair and recovery process. If the problem happens is that if your immune system is not in balance, which is the case in autoimmune conditions, then this process can go on uninhibited, and that damages the tissues and the organs, right? So inflammation by itself is not bad. We need inflammation in order to survive. When we get a cut, when we have a wound, that's inflammation at play, and it has helped us survive as a species over millions of years. We would have died out long ago from infections and other things. So inflammation is a part of your defense mechanism. However, if it continues to prolonged, if inflammation continues unabated, right, that's when the damage starts occurring. So the first thing that I mentioned is removing food triggers. The second would be incorporating anti-inflammatory foods, right? So anti-inflammatory foods are all your plant foods. So whether it's vegetables, whether it's fruits. Now, how much or what? I mean, vegetables by and large, we can pretty much have as much. I mean, in fact, when I tell my clients that they're looking at their plate, half of it should be plant foods, and specifically vegetables, not fruits, vegetables, right? So it supports healing, and it basically reduces inflammation. So that's how it helps. And focusing on leafy greens, focusing on different colored vegetables, focusing on healthy fats, even that is actually anti-inflammatory. This is an important part of getting our immune system back into balance, which is what we want to do. So the first thing I mentioned was removing the food triggers, eliminating them. Second is incorporating anti-inflammatory foods, and the third is addressing underlying imbalances. Now, whenever there is any kind of dysregulation, and right now we're talking specifically about immune dysregulation, which is what is at play in the case of autoimmunity. That means the immune system is typically hypervigilant, but it can move from one extreme to another extreme, which is it can be underreactive and also overreactive. Autoimmunity is one extreme example of overreactivity, right? So you don't want either of these scenarios. You want immune systems to be appropriately tolerant so that it can actually react when it needs to, and it can come back into balance, right? So the underlying imbalances can be many different ones. It can be hormonal, it can be gut imbalances, there can be many different things going on, right? It can be chronic infections that are going on which never got addressed, and everything. And it's not about throwing antibiotics or throwing any kind of drugs at any problem. It's about understanding what's going on and why isn't your immune system able to function properly. That's what I mean by unlocking your body's healing potential, and that's what we are talking about today, right? So let me share a story of one of my clients that I'm working with right now, actually currently, and she's just one of the many examples of what happens when you actually start doing this in practice, right? So she's been working with me for about 3 months now, 4 months maybe now, and she had a host of symptoms, including a couple of autoimmune diagnoses, and of course whatever I just shared with you, whether it's food as triggers. So we removed dairy, gluten, maybe not on day one, because it's hard to make these changes, which is why this is a 6-month program that I take my clients through a 6-month program, and it takes a bit of time to incorporate these changes in our day-to-day life. right? So she did that, and she was able to take out those foods eventually. Just after I think a month or two after working with me, 6 to 8 weeks after working with me, then she basically started addressing. She started incorporating a lot of these vegetables. So she started having a vegetable smoothie in the morning, and these, what happens is that these things slowly build up, right? This is not a miracle cure. There is no quick fix, which is what makes it so hard. On the other hand, if you put in the work, if you understand what your body needs from you, you can see results that are sustainable. That's what you want, right? You want to address the root. So she did that, and now, in fact, we are going to meet talking soon. And then of course focusing on gut health and gut imbalances and figuring out what's going on there. And that has to be, and all of this has to be customized for each individual. And she had a lot of brain fog and neurological issues and sleep issues, right? So she was not sleeping properly, even though she was trying to practice proper sleeping hygiene. And sleeping hygiene and eating hygiene are some of the most fundamental things that I teach my clients how to practice right from day one, right? You need a strong foundation. If you're building something and you want it to stay and you want it to be sustainable, you need a very, very strong foundation. And what I'm talking about are the foundational pieces. So she did that, but yet she was not able to see much of a difference initially, right? But with the help of right supplementation, with the help of these lifestyle changes, with the help of food, she's eventually started seeing. And when I last checked in with her, she said that I'm free of this brain fog, I'm free of this neurological issues, I'm free of this mental the anxiety, because they're related directly to your gut. A lot of it is directly related to your gut, to your lifestyle, to gluten. Gluten is linked to a lot of the neurological symptoms that people see, right? So, and it takes, as I said, it takes a bit of time to see the improvements. I mean, you might see a little bit here and there, but to see this massive improvement, which she's now seeing I think she's in month 4 of the program. But it's a huge boost, right? It's a huge boost. So no matter how many symptoms you're dealing with, no matter what disease you have, what diagnosis, what you're going through, just by working on these, what I'm talking today about, supporting your body's healing potential or unlocking your body's healing potential, and doing these things can go a long way, right? So I have covered eliminating trigger foods as the first step, first way. Second is incorporating anti-inflammatory foods. And the third is stress, right? Before I get there, Pooja, how long does it take for even small changes to be seen? Small is relative, but to answer your question, you will, what I do is, let me reply from how I work in the program. I use a few different tools that helps both my clients and I to see if there is any improvement, right? There is no one right. So one can be lab results, right? So we do a bench lab, basic lab work. I'm not even talking about the more exotic functional medicine testing, but just basic CBC, B12, D. So all of that is done right at the beginning. Then every session we do medical symptoms questionnaire. That is a big one, right? So, and usually you will start to realize whether you're on the right track, because that's why I'm talking about your body's healing potential. That means that you are now paying attention to how you are feeling inside your body, right? You will know if you're on the right track and if you're feeling better, whether or not it shows up in the blood report. Because and the flip side is also true. Even if your blood report is showing and everything is okay, you may not be feeling well, right? So you will know if you're feeling better, you will know if you're on the right track, because your body will tell you. And it may not be from day one, of course. So it depends, but some people actually start seeing improvements the minute they gave up gluten, others not so much, right? But within a month or two, you start seeing the changes. You start seeing small improvements which you didn't see, maybe energy, maybe a bit of less pain. So there will be certain improvements, and the medical symptoms questionnaire usually reflects that. I hope that answered your question. Yeah. So reducing stress. The third point I wanted to mention was reducing stress, because chronic stress can worsen autoimmune symptoms, just like anything else. I mean, stress actually has an impact on each and every part of our body, of course, because that's your main hormone, cortisol and other hormones at play. So stress impacts everything, right, including symptoms. And we know that when we are stressed, we know that there is a flare up, right? It can be anything. It can be any kind of autoimmune or some other condition. So finding ways to reduce stress in your life, or if you can't really reduce stress to that extent, changing your response to stress is what I find to be more effective. That means you find a way to deal with that stress, right? So whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whether it's just deep breathing, whether it's just incorporating these small pauses in your day. I had a client who she was not very so open to meditation, and not everybody is, and you don't need to meditate. You need to just find ways to bring these breaks in your life, right? So she was this high achieving, very successful woman entrepreneur, but lot of stress, lot of anxiety, very stressful life, etc. So we just found ways to incorporate these tiny breaks in her life, right? So she was so busy, but we figured out a way. We brainstormed ideas together, and that's what I do with my clients. I partner with them, and she incorporated these small mini 5-minute breaks during her day. So maybe every couple of hours or so, where she would just leave everything, just sit and sort of try and do nothing, right? Even that is itself a big one. So it's about figuring out how you are choosing to respond to stress, and make no mistake, all these things add up, okay? All of this. So taking out time to do this is important. So this is the third way. The fourth is, and I've talked about it a bit. Okay, I missed that. Addressing underlying imbalances. I think I've talked about it a bit. So I'm just going to summarize so far. So we have talked about eliminating trigger foods. We have talked about incorporating anti-inflammatory foods. We have talked about addressing underlying imbalances. And I have talked about stress. And the last point I want to talk about is getting enough rest and making sure that sleep is a priority, right? What happens is that, of course, many women with autoimmune conditions and other chronic health issues experience fatigue and exhaustion, and sometimes they are forced to take a rest. Maybe you're not in that position, and I hope you're not. However, making sure that you're prioritizing rest and relaxation and sleep, they're different things. Good quality sleep is really important. It's one of those fundamental, foundational things that I was talking about earlier. And incorporating relaxation techniques, right? Incorporating pleasure in your life. And I talk about vitamin J a lot, which is joy, right? No matter how many supplements you're taking, no matter what else you might be doing, without incorporating these things in your life, most people struggle to sustain their health improvements, right? This is where the struggle comes in. You might see it, you might feel better because you might give up gluten, you might do a couple of other things, but then do you sustain it? No, because you don't feel so good in your body. You are not enjoying it, right? I've had so many clients who've given up certain foods, but if they do it from a place of lack, if they do it from a place of that I have to do it because I have to do it because Anindita told me so, it doesn't really work. So I never push anyone. I'm very clear on what needs to be done, what foods need to be eliminated, and why. The education is given right from day one. However, we work things through because not everyone is ready from day one to do everything, right? And that's okay. It's your journey. That's why I call healing as a journey. But you have to find ways to slowly sort of support your body's healing process, and I'm taking you through 5 ways that you can do that, right? So getting enough rest is one of them, and getting quality sleep. So sleep support is huge. And the same client that I spoke about earlier, she saw huge difference in her mental cognition and her mood, and her anxiety levels go down when she got her sleep in place. It took us a bit of time because there were lots of things going on, and she was traveling, and there were some other, so we were trying to figure out. It's not an exact science, even if you get 20 tests done, right? Each person is unique and will react differently to the same foods, to the same things that we do. So figuring it out becomes important, and it takes time, and we need to give ourselves that time. So I create an environment which is healing, which is safe, and I hold space for my clients because they need that time right? So she finally figured out how to get her sleep in place, and we supported it with some supplements, and she is having the best sleep in years. And what stands out for me, she said that, I finally had a dream, right? I had an amazing dream. I don't know when I last had a dream, right? Dreamt. Imagine, right? So these are some of the things that we need to think about, right? When we are, whether we are dealing with any health issue, whether we are trying to prevent one in the future, and whether we are completely overwhelmed with the amount of things that we need to get done, right? If we already had, say, even 100 symptoms or 200, and I've actually worked with clients who have more than 200 symptoms, by the way, because we do that questionnaire. So it doesn't matter where you are, right? By doing these basic things, you will start seeing some improvement somewhere or the other. Very hard to pinpoint and say exactly where, right? That's not going to be possible to foretell or foresee. But however, you will know when you're doing well. You will know when you're feeling better, doing better, and you will know when you're off track. That's the beauty, right? So today's session, I hope you like the session. I'm just going to summarize what I talked about today. I shared with you 5 important ways that you can support your body's healing potential. The first is eliminating trigger foods. The second is incorporating anti-inflammatory foods. The third is addressing underlying imbalances. The fourth is reducing stress. And the fifth is getting enough rest and sleep, right? Sounds basic, I know, but I think a lot of times these get missed out on. You might, even in the realm of functional medicine, I find that with all our talk about functional lab testing, supplements, a lot of times these basic things get missed out on, which is why this forms the basis of my coaching program, and why focus a lot on these aspects, these very basic aspects, but extremely critical aspects of health creation. And I am talking about long-term health creation, because when my clients work with me, I want them to reach a stage where once they stop working with me, they have the tools in their toolkit to continue on their health journey, right? To sustain the results that they have seen. And they see results, of course. How can you not see the results when you have supported your own body's healing process? How can you not see results when you are guided by your own body, right? Your body is telling you whether this direction is right for you, whether this is not. In fact, I just had a client who was on a particular B complex, and we moved her to a better quality B complex, and we couldn't figure out why she was getting headache when she had been off. She had actually gotten rid of her headache after 25 years actually. And then, we had to do a bit of detective work, and then we figured out that other B complex was triggering her headache, right? And it was a better quality one. So we have to figure this out, but we have to keep on at it. But now that she had the, sort of the awareness to her own body, and that she was able to trust her own instincts from what her body was telling her in terms of symptoms, she was able to figure it out herself. I mean, actually, she figured it out. I just helped her a bit, right? So that's the beauty of approaching any health creation journey, any healing journey, right? And that's the benefit of listening to what your body is telling you, which is why I chose to speak about unlocking your body's healing potential. If you have any questions, put it in the comments below. If you're watching it on replay, I'll make sure that I get back to you. And if you would like to be supported, guided, and inspired as you begin your healing journey, make sure that you join our private Facebook group, Healing from Within with Anindita. And I'll see you again soon.